one of the most notable fail sons in all of America. Jared Kushner was apparently also talking with Bob Woodward. It went really well for Donald Trump. Let's take a look at some of what Jared Kushner, exactly. But Jared Kushner all along, this is not new. These are conversations he was having with, journalist Bob Woodward for some time. So we're gonna work through a little bit of what he said, but let's set the stage. In a taped interview way back on April 18th, Kushner told Bob Woodward that Trump was, quote, getting the country back from the doctors in what he called a, quote, negotiated settlement. Kushner also proclaimed that the US was moving swiftly through the panic phase and pain phase of the pandemic, and that the country was at the beginning of the comeback phase. That was on April 18th. Now, many Americans had died at that point, but far more hadn't yet died and would. And here you have this guy who's never earned anything in his life, whether wealth, nor position, nor prestige, nor media coverage, anything like that, telling us, no, we already got past that. We had the pain already. We're gonna be just fine. And I wanna play a little bit of audio for you, and then we'll dive in. So here's a bit of Kushner.
There were three phases. There was the panic phase, the pain phase, and then the comeback phase. I do believe that last night symbolized kind of the beginning of the comeback phase. That doesn't mean there's not still a lot of pain and there won't be pain for a while, but that basically was, we've now put out rules to get back to work. Trump's now back in charge. It's not the doctors. They've kind of, we have like a negotiated settlement.
So that's crazy and heartless, but yeah, Trump did kind of take back control from the doctors, and the ever rising case and hospitalization and death count, I think tells us all we need to know about how that worked as a strategy.
What, can you answer this for me, John? Because I'm a little unclear. I mean, we know he's a moron, but what is a negotiated settlement? How is that related to this process?
Well, quite simply, so if you are a person who's just been handed real estate projects and wants to pretend that you're smarter than you are, you would throw terms like negotiated settlement into areas where they don't apply at all, and that's what he's done. And I really think that's the whole thing. I think he's kind of a dumb person.
He's like the easement, and he's just throwing things out there. This idiot Kushner, who has one of the most annoying voices I've ever heard, he told Woodward what we already knew. We already knew that the president's COVID response was not focused on the people, it was focused on his reelection. We already knew, this is confirmation. Like, did we know that they knew it was so clear? They actually plotted this out. Our suspicions were real. He wanted to put all of the onus on the state and the governors so that he could distance himself to any failures. And we knew he wanted to own the reopening so that he could be the savior. And we know he wants to own the vaccine so he can be the savior, the best, the one and only. And I just can't believe that this family keeps talking to this man. How does Woodward do it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just horrendous. So that. You're right. They go into the strategy, and you know what? Why don't we talk about that? Because I have something to say about that. So here he is describing a bit about the strategy to Bob Woodward.
So with testing now, what he's been saying is don't fall into the same trap that we fell into the first time. The states have to own the testing. The federal government should not own the testing, and the federal government should not own kind of the rules. It's got to be up to the governors because that's the way the federal system works. But the president also is very smart politically with the way he did that fight with the governors to basically say, no, I own the opening. Because again, the opening is going to be very popular. People want this country open. But if it opens in the wrong way, the question will be, did the governors follow the guidelines we set out or not?
Yeah, except that that's not what actually ended up happening. If the reopening doesn't go well, no, they wanted us to just blame the governors or whatever, but Donald Trump has been saying we need to reopen the schools, we need to reopen everything over and over and over. And somehow Jared Kushner couldn't predict that if people were dying and Trump was saying, no, we need to reopen anyway, that some of the blame might fall to him. And we're seeing that the effect on the election every day. That genius strategy that they had was stupid. And I would argue it doesn't take hindsight to realize that telling people they need to pretend that everything's back to normal when the cases and deaths keep going up, as we knew they would if we reopened prematurely, it doesn't take a genius to know that that's a dumb strategy. And indeed, we didn't have a genius, unfortunately, involved in this strategy. We had people like Jared Kushner and Mike Pence and that sort of thing.
And how obscene is it to say that the president was politically smart to fight with the states? Why are you fighting with the states during a pandemic? You're proud of this? It's disgusting. Like I said earlier, it's reprehensible. And I cannot believe that this guy is so stupid to speak to this journalist and to actually say these words. I mean, he might as well throw in eminent domain. He might as well throw in all these. I don't know where he thought that this was okay. This is not a business negotiation where you just have like, well, that's just the cost of doing business. These are people's lives. You are the leader of the country. Your job is to protect your citizens. And this is disgusting that you think it's a smart political move to go head to head with governors.
Yeah.
This is what the Federalists wanted. No, they didn't. This is not what they wanted.
Yeah, what they probably wanted was leadership. I imagine if Canada invaded, I don't think the American people would be like, you know what? It's really on the governors. I like that Trump is standing up to North Dakota. Yeah, no, that doesn't actually work that way.
He stands up to North Dakota and Michigan, but not Russia.
Exactly. So the issue, what I always look for is, because we never know, it's very difficult to say when people that do and say crazy things, when they are true believers, when they're doing something based on a true belief, or they're just trying to deceive you or whatever. And in terms of pushing for the reopening, I would assume that they knew it wasn't going to work, but they still thought that it would be in their short-term interests, whether in terms of the stock market or in terms of politics. Based on at least Jared Kushner in these conversations, they seem to really think all of the doctors and scientists were wrong. They seem to really think, no, it is just magically gonna go away. There's no reason to believe that, but we're gonna run with that. And I think this last clip we're gonna play sort of gets to the idea that they were overconfident, needlessly overconfident.
I learned this early on, that neither party's really a party. They're collections of tribes, right? And so the Republican Party was a collection of a bunch of tribes, and then parties as they grow tend to be more about being exclusive than inclusive. And so, you look at like the Republican Party platform, it's a document meant to like piss people off basically more, because it's done by activists.
Yeah.
So you have a disproportionality between what issues people are vocal on and what the people, the voters, really care about. And what Trump's been able to do is, I say he basically did a full hostile takeover of the Republican Party. And I don't think it's even as much about the issues. I think it's about the attitude.
He's just not that smart of a person. Like, all of this is not just about your stupid intra-party politics. Like, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of lives. And even if you don't care about that, even if you're effectively like the world's tiniest vampire, that is going to come to bite. We're in an election year, you idiot. Like, you can't let hundreds of thousands of people die and think that it's not gonna take a toll on you in the election. Whether you've had the hostile takeover, which again, to your point, is just needless real estate speak or business speak. Sure, yeah, you've done that. Okay, now you're in charge of that party. Wouldn't you like to win the election? Maybe don't let a mountain of corpses pile up. Maybe that would be wise politically.
So disconnected to reality to say that people's views, it's people dying. Deaths are not views. These are people who are ill. And he goes on to talk about how, these are tribes. No, these are scientists and doctors. I mean, Dr. Fauci has worked for decades. The man is 80 years old. He's seen us through epidemic after epidemic. And here he is speaking the truth and his own. This is under this is under Donald Trump. He's supposed to be reporting to Trump, telling him all these things. And time again, we see these people replaced by yes man. Now, this is not someone who's doing a hostile takeover and trying to take control of these tribes, as he called it. But this is someone who's an extreme narcissist who doesn't want anyone around him that tells him no. He just wants yes men, and that is extremely dangerous. We see it in how Michael Jackson died. We see it, I mean, when you only have people around you that are saying yes, whatever you want, that's when people get hurt.
How did that work for George Lucas? Bart, how did that work for George Lucas?
Red Tails.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, okay, I can't take any more Kushner. There's more of Kushner. If you want to look online, CNN has a great write-up of some of his insane quotes. He should have never been involved in this. We know early on he was involved in the decision to scale back the money going to things like personal protective equipment, things like that, because he made the decision, Jared Kushner made the decision that a lot of that would be going to blue states, and who cares about them? If we were in a real democracy that actually cared about the actions of our leaders, Jared Kushner would end up in prison someday. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen, but it's well deserved. It's the only position in his life he's actually earned, is that cell, but it's probably not going to happen.
Is a stint at the penitentiary.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.